Hi there and welcome to this latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by patspropaganda.com and their YouTube channel. Please do not forget to be subscribing to that YouTube channel. And so it is episode 4, the day after Dallas, with myself, Clazzy Clare, and himself, Chudders. So, Chudders, as I said, the day after Dallas, how's things with you?
Oh, morning, I think.
Come on already. 30 seconds.
Okay, right. Well, for all the fans of Claire and her bubbly personality and the positivity that she brings in the darkest gloom, I think this will be the best test that we've seen of that. And I have many notes. Very few are in green and positive, but I know that Claire does have some. So I think we need to throw to her first for her thoughts, her positive thoughts of yesterday's game.
That's a bit of a type A personality there with your little colour-coded notes, I see. We learn more and more about you each week, don't we? Okay, well, yes, they did get completely trampled on in Dallas, the Patriots, that is, which wasn't fun, wasn't fab. And I'm sure we will talk about Mac Jones a little bit later, your favourite subject. I, however, did have some positives to take away from the game, because the one thing that struck me is, well, there's several things, there's several layers to this, and I didn't want to end up being the one talking more on this episode, but you're trying to maneuver it so that I can tell. Firstly, there is so much good to this team, and I just don't believe that the team that played is a good reflection of what the team actually are. Particular Mac, actually, I don't believe that game was who Mac Jones is as a quarterback. Now, I know a lot of people won't agree with me and call me a homer, but I feel like it's slightly realistic to say that he's had better games. And so I don't believe that game is the epitome of what Mac Jones is. Now, I appreciate people don't have the patience, and I'm going to spend a lot of time on this episode kind of apologising for my positivity, because I know that a lot of people are not going to feel the same way. And I know a lot of people may look at it and say, oh, she's just a homer, she's not really looking at what's realistic. But I genuinely do try to look at it and just have a positive slant on what there is to see. And it kind of almost feels like, right, well, that was pretty much rock bottom. I think there was a statistic, and I'm not going to remember it now because I haven't got it on a post-it note, that it was Bill Belichick's worst performance or worst scoring game in his tenure as a Patriots coach, I believe.
Any head coach.
Was it any? Okay, apologies. Any. So we've hit the bottom. The only way is up now, surely. So there's you can look at it from that aspect of, well, that's as bad as it's going to get. It's going to get better from there. You don't look like you agree with me. Okay, that's fine. I'll move on from that. But that's
broken that record once doesn't mean you can't break it again.
Yeah, but why look at it like that? Why not look at it like, well, it was really bad, so let's hope that it just gets better, rather than, oh, it was that bad before, so it can be that bad again. That is just an outlook. That is just a choice of an outlook, surely. Now, you could say, well, there's injuries that I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute and things like this. There are reasons why you feel like it may not be up from here, and there are chances of that as well, of course, but I believe there's more to the team than what we saw. I believe they've got more on offense than really what was on display. Why that is what was on display, I don't know. Unless they accidentally didn't send Mac to Dallas and they just send some shapeshifter in his place that isn't really a quarterback. Who knows, really. But I enjoyed the 3 tight-ended sets. I enjoyed that so much. It actually made me excited for a few moments to see Gesicki and Hunter and Brown on the field all at the same time. It was just delicious. All those tall guys, long legs, brilliant, fantastic, love it. Unfortunately, it didn't really transpire into some major tight-ended, although Hunter Henry had that one-handed catch that was, it was so wonderful. Made me tingly. So I think there is some bright spots. Hunter Henry and Mac have still got that really good dynamic going on, and that's brilliant. It's great that there is something still there, that we can see that it's productive. He was, and we look like NFL quarterback to an NFL tight end. So that itself is something that I'm going to champion. I know it's very small, and I appreciate that, but there's only so much that we can take away from this game that is positive anyway, while we're being realistic. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the tight endage. we may be sort of getting slim pickings now after that. On the offense, that was kind of really it, really, I can imagine. The defense didn't quite perform as well. However, this defense is really good. And that's the unfortunate that then flips to the negative again because of the injuries, because of the loss of Gonzalez and Judon, which was really bad that they've had this game. They were really bad in this game, and now they've possibly lost Judon with, from what was last reported on the social media platforms that I saw, that he suffered a lower bicep tendon tear. So that's not great. That's not.
I think he's done for the season now. I think he'll be wrapped up. I think that's him done. Gonzo, it's reported that he dislocated his shoulder, but hopefully he should be back in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If not sooner, depending on how bad it is.
Okay, your turn.
Well, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to agree with you, surprisingly, in that I don't, as bad as that was, and it was damn awful. I think they individually, you want to pick out players, you want to pick out a unit, a team, they can play better than that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we've not seen it. I'm sure Mac has had better games than that, but his...
I'm sorry, you're honestly telling me you haven't seen a better game out of Mac than that? Are you actually going to...
Okay, let me clarify then. I've seen better games from Mac, but I've not seen games that show him to be the quality quarterback that I want as a franchise QB. He's had some better games. He's had some better passing games, but we're 4 games into the season now. The first 2, you could say he didn't lose us the game. He wasn't the reason they lost. He also wasn't the reason they could win either. The third game, you were lucky to win. You were playing a downtrodden, beaten up shell of a team from New York, and they still nearly beat you on the field in the last play. If their season had gone more to plan and they had Rodgers on the field, you lose that game. The Patriots should be 0-4 now. They're lucky to be 1-3. They've been bad this whole season.
See, I disagree, because the first 2 games, there was some small instances that if it had gone differently, they'd have gone into this game 3-0.
I disagree. I know what you mean. There are some things that could have gone differently, that could have moved the game slightly. But in 3 out of the 4 games now, you've gone down early and big. You can't start games well. They've pretty much proven that. Yeah. They can't start games well. They also can't finish games well. When you're in positions where potentially a drive here and you could win a game, they can't do that. They don't have the clutch gene. So they can't start and they can't finish. Now, the squidgy bit in the middle, some games they can compete, whether that's keeping an opposition score down on defense or whether that's getting 10, 13 points on offense. They can stay in some games in the middle, but they can't start well, they can't finish well. And even that bit in the middle, they're not blowing anyone away at all by any stretch of the imagination.
I completely forgot that we would just be sitting here so you could have a whinge. I completely forgot. I thought I had way more positivity than I do. This is terrible. Okay,
no, I like your positivity. I like it. I think it's good. I don't necessarily have to agree with it, but I think it is good to have. No, you
never do. What are you talking about? You never agree with it, especially if it's to do with Mac Jones. But I can't really talk about Mac Jones this time because he was really, really bad. So why is Bill Belichick getting all the shade and not O'Brien? Because everything that I've seen is Belichick. Fault Belichick. Fire Belichick. Get rid of Belichick. So hang on. Offense is Bill O'Brien. Why isn't it Bill O'Brien on the hot seat? I'm not saying it should be. I'm asking you, what do you think?
No, I think it's fair to have some criticisms in that O'Brien's offense. It doesn't look a hell of a lot different to what Patricia was putting up last year. There's some slight differences in the way he's stacking players and trying to create space. And you could argue the players are therefore not executing. You could argue they didn't execute well enough last year for Patricia as well, if you so desire. I agree. I don't think O'Brien has really juvenized this offense. I think the offense is missing weapons. And that's where you can point to Bill Belichick in the way he's constructed a roster. You can also point to it and say, has he managed the roster he has managed it in the best way. We've had the disagreements already about the way he's managed Mac in the past and given him confidence. Mac looks like he's got zero confidence.
Oh, fuck this again. Are you serious? Did you not see him in the press conference?
I think he has zero.
Unfazed.
And he was laughing on the sidelines, but I don't think he's confident. As I don't think the game looked much different when Zappi came in. So this isn't me pretending that they look like a rejuvenated offense, but Zappi looks more confident on the field. He'll step into the pocket, he'll take the pressures, he'll look for the targets. Mac looks like he's a scared child running around as soon as the pocket breaks or as soon as his first read's not available. He doesn't look confident and like a leader on the field to me.
You're just going to get all the listeners agreeing with you today because he didn't have a great game. But I disagree. I don't think he looked like a scared child. I think he looked like a guy who was having a really bad day at work, who was under some severe pressure. But I disagree with he looked like a scared child and Zappi looked better. I think you're just being anti-Mac with the whole and Zappi looked better. Because that's my opinion.
Possibly, it's similar to what I thought last year, though. I think Zappi. I don't think Zappi is as good a quarterback as Mac Jones.
No,
I think Mac's proven that. I'm not saying he's a better passer, he's a better reader, everything. It's the presence on the field that I think it just looks better with Zappi on the field. It's
Could your opinion of Mac be colouring that though? Be honest.
Well, yeah, because I don't think Mac's performing well and confident. So that's half the reason. Like I said, it doesn't look phenomenal under Zappi. It's not like I'm being lit up and thinking, wow, this is the next Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. It's not. It is being slightly coloured that what we do have on the field in Mac Jones, it isn't as great. And I don't think it looks confident. One quote that really worried me today, Bill Belichick was doing his weekly
just make it even more positive
phone call with WEI in Boston. He said, and I quote, "We hung in there. We were competitive." Who else agrees with that statement of yesterday's game? The Patriots were demolished on all three phases of the game.
What do you expect him to say on a radio station like WEI that is renowned for being quite kind of negative and you know, producing that kind of vibe?
I'd much rather he came out and said, you know what? We had our asses handed to us yesterday. We did poorly on all levels. We need to go out there and do better. We need to pull the Saints in this weekend, who've just been beaten by the Falcons, the Bucks, and we need to kick their ass. We need to perform. We need to stand up and be counted, play for each other. That's what I'd want to hear and see. Not, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We were competitive. We hung in there. No, you didn't.
You focus way too much on what he says to the media.
Well,
this is because it's Bill Belichick and it means nothing though. This is the thing. We should know this by now. He doesn't care. So
I like playing the game when whether it's the post game interview, whatever interviews you hear with Bill when he's with the press. I love playing the game of when you hear the question from whoever's asked it, then trying to guess how he's not going to answer the question. It's genuinely a fun game I try to play in my head whenever I hear the question. I think, okay, what's he going to say to not answer this? Oh, we need to study my tape. Oh, we're on to next week now. Oh, that was last week. We're not doing that. Oh, well, we're focusing on the last game, not the next game yet. And it's brilliant the way he does it. But anyway, to go back to the game slightly, you've listed off the positives that you saw. There was a good play from Douglas. I would say that.
Yes.
There was bad O-line play. They got pancaked. The receivers were not explosive. I wrote down 3 tight end sets, as much as you'd like to see them, and you did touch on this. They weren't threatening. Run game.
That's not fair.
Awful. Go on.
The 3 tight end sets, they were put out there and they didn't know what to do with them. It was fulfilling the defense, for want of a better word. I'll think of one. And
for a couple of
captains, actually
not even a drive.
It's just no getting a crumb out of you, is there really?
Well, it's hard to when you've just been thrashed 38-3.
But
Like
people are listening to this. We're supposed to be
38-30,
giving them something
if it was 38-30, you
enjoyable.
could talk about, okay, well, there was some signs of life on offense. If it was 13-3, and you could say, well, you know what, the offense didn't fire, but the defense really kept us in there. It's a strong Cowboys attack.
So
But
you
no,
just want to put a show out there that's just all doom and gloom. You do realise nobody's going to watch this then. So whoever, for the two people that are, thank you so much for bearing with us while he has his little negative situation. Like, this is what, now people are having a deeper insight into what I have to deal with.
this is just my way of airing it publicly. The other positive I've down, and you won't like this either, but I've written it in my positive column in green, as you like to say, is the one thing I wanted at the start of the season. I didn't really consider this team was going to be a Super Bowl threat. To be honest, I didn't even think they were going to be a postseason threat. What I wanted was to be able to make decisions on players. For me, this game helped with that. Not in a good way for that player.
Why would it be in a good way? We're talking about you here.
Exactly. I'm nothing but a negative Nancy. Defense.
Exactly.
Bryant, I thought, had a good play where he chased down for the forced fumble. Although Patriots didn't manage to recover it, sadly, the Cowboys still held on to it. But it was a good show of fight, I thought, from Miles Bryant there. And they did have a good drive where the Cowboys went 3 and out, and all 3 plays were tackle for loss, sack. That was what you wanted to see. Other than that, it was not great news. Like I say, Judon's probably out for the season. Gonzo's going to be out possibly for a little bit. Peppers went out injured. However, I think he's going to be okay. He was in the post-game presses, and hopefully I think he's going to be all right. We'll see.
Yeah.
The other negative I wrote on defense was Will Greer, who obviously didn't get any game whatsoever, but there was a lot of hype that the Patriots had signed him to get all the Cowboys signs and stealing signs.
I forgot about that, actually.
That didn't work, evidently. The Cowboys seem to know more about our game plan than we knew about theirs with their 2-point conversion that they managed to execute on the PAT, and the fact that they could see what routes receivers were running, and they would get pass blocks in, or they would get the interceptions.
One good thing to come out of it as reflection of players is we know how really good Duggar is.
Yeah, I think
12 tackles for 3 assists.
12 tackles, 3 assists. I think he had tackle QB hit and a tackle for loss as well. He was very effective.
No, Tavai was the only one that noted down a sack. Well, an actual sack anyway. That was something else that is a positive in regards to player performance, if you want to go down that route. And yeah, I'm pointing at you again now. I'll keep getting told off for that, actually. People saying it makes it look like I'm pointing at them. Last season, Jelani Tavai was very much of a, why is Bill keeping him around? People were, not everybody, granted, there'll be people watching this saying, I wanted him, and that's fair enough. But there were a few people that were in Patriots Nation, like myself, that would be like, oh, really? And now we know why, because he's actually really quite good. So that's positive. Although he may leave and get paid, and because that's the route that we're going down now.
I don't think he's good enough that he's going to get paid that much.
No, I was.
And I think you could. But, yeah.
Jesus, there really, but it's yeah.
There was one word you touched on earlier, and I'll go back to it because I put it in capital letters in my notes. Hope.
Okay.
What hope do you see genuinely, whether that's the game ahead or the season ahead? What's the hope that you hold on to here?
I'm hoping that the injuries aren't really severe, and I hope that we get our defense back, because our defense is really good. I hope that Jack Jones happens to come back and just proves everybody wrong, and he's really, really super good. I hope for those kind of things, because the defense was definitely a strength. But I don't know. For me, the reflection on this is, yeah, it was a really bad game. Mac was really bad. You can't sugarcoat that, and I'm not going to try to pick out the positives of the tight end, because for me there was a little bit, but I know that for a lot of people it won't have been enough, and I fully appreciate that. But I think realistically, that was a really bad game. It's moving on from here. My hope is just, it was really bad, but it gets better. So that is genuinely what I'm seeing is, oh, it was really bad. Can it go up from here? And that is my mindset of it. And I do believe that, though, because as I said at the very beginning, not to repeat myself, so I apologize, but I don't believe that the team that we saw, for whatever reason, is what the team actually is. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing the improvements of the team that I actually believe is there.
So on your Mac-o-meter, whereabouts are you in your confidence? Is he still your franchise QB going forward?
Yeah, I give benefit of the doubt with one game. I think he's building up. I do think he's better than what we've seen. I'm sure I'm probably wrong because I've been wrong about lots of things, but I'm still willing to give him a chance, yes. And I don't think putting Zappy in was a good idea. I know we said that you wanted to talk about that. I think it was... I actually... I'll give you a little insight, folks. There was actually a message of, I don't think that was a good idea, to which I received a reply of, why? And then the next message was, wait, don't tell me, save it for the show. So you guys get the the exclusive of why I didn't believe it was a good idea. And yeah, I get that, like, Bill, it wasn't necessary to have him in. You're risking your number one quarterback, but at the time I felt it was pointless because you weren't going to get any better production out of Zappy than you did Mac, and I don't think that was the reason why he was put in. You last season harped on and on and on about Bill not being positive in press conferences about Mac Jones and it knocking his confidence, and you think he deserved it better and this, that and the other. And I think that the putting Zappy in right there is not going to do much for somebody's confidence. However, on the sidelines, he didn't really seem too affected. Now, I don't know. I don't see him after the game, so couldn't tell you for sure. But it didn't look like he was as bothered by the substitution, shall we say, as what I thought maybe it would be. But I just didn't agree. I just thought it was pointless. A few people on social media, I think I saw, said that he shouldn't have been taken out because he should have carried on with the dumpster fire that he'd created himself. So he should have to own it, kind of thing. But yeah, I did see it as pointless. I see the limiting the risks of your QB1, but I felt like he needed to move past it, and he didn't get the opportunities to in this game. So I'm hoping, the word you like to use, that the next game he has kind of like put it to bed and moved past it, because he didn't have the opportunity at the end of the Dallas game to improve or to spark up or whatever, that one step further to kind of get over it, shall we say. And I hope that that's not detrimental just by throwing Zappy in for a little while, because as much as I was in on him being a backup, I think it was last season, and he looked quite good. He got the Patriots skill set, as you like to say, for a quarterback. I don't know if over more time that we've had, that he really is. He isn't great. He's not the greatest backup, I don't think. And, I don't mean that with any disrespect to the guy. I'm sure he's very lovely and everything, but I don't know. I just don't really see what maybe has been seen of him. He's not consistent enough. So he's definitely not a starter for me anyway.
So I assume you're fully on the board. The Mac should start at the weekend.
Yeah.
And he's still currently. I appreciate you're not necessarily giving him
the Bears aren't subbing out Fields, are they? Sorry to talk over you.
They're not. To be fair, the Fields played well. The Bears played badly, but Fields played quite well. You brought me on. If I think the Bears look awful. I think they could be picking 1 and 2 next in the draft. The way things are going for them, they are. You want to talk a dumpster fire? They really are. I would be picking up the phone on the plane last night saying, "Is there any chance? Do you want to swap Jones and Fields and maybe something else that's not going to cost too much?" Because both quarterbacks haven't fit into their respective systems. And the Bears likely will be taking Williams, I should think, in the draft. It's no. I don't think it's not because I think Fields is going to come in and light it up. I have high expectations about changing it. Just like to see something different. I'm pretty much done now with Mac. He's going to carry on, but for me, it's pretty much made the decision. He's not the franchise QB, and now I know, or now in my own head, I know he's the franchise QB, or I don't think he's the franchise QB in the future. I want to try it, whatever other options there are. So if it was me, I'd be playing Zappy this weekend. I'd be saying, go on then, let's see what can happen
glad
from the
it's
start.
not you.
I'm not saying it would work any differently. It can't look much worse.
Yeah, and if it was you, there'd be no tight ends in either, so I really wouldn't be very happy. I'd hate this under you.
I want a new franchise QB, and I don't know who that person is. We need to go find out.
This is the exact thing, though. And I mean, I'm not sure if Mac Jones is the franchise quarterback, but he's my quarterback for this season, and I'm fine with that. I'm completely and utterly fine with that, and I'm willing to give the guy a chance, the benefit of the doubt, whatever you want to say. So, okay, so is your answer to this season break it down to the studs and get a top a high draft quarterback next season? Is that what you're looking at right now? Is that your mindset as a Patriots fan now?
It would depend who the Patriots like and love. I wouldn't want them to be, say, pink. No, but the thing is, in reality, there's only really Williams that people think is going to be a true stud. He's the one that everyone's fighting for in the draft.
Well, okay, let me put it to you this way then.
And unless you're picking one, you probably ain't getting him.
Let me change it up a little bit then, because that's very specific and things can happen between now and the draft because it's next year. So rather than be specific for an actual literal player, because I don't know who the quarterbacks are anyway, because I only watch Notre Dame mostly on college football, would you say generally, looking at it, that you think that there should be trading away the good players, getting the better draft picks, for getting that high round draft pick, looking at sort of weapons and things? Now, I'm not saying that is what I'm saying. Just let me finish. Sorry. That's not what I'm saying. This is a conversation that is going around of what people want and what people don't want as Patriots fans, because we're coming off a bad loss to the Cowboys. Now, some of us are thinking, okay, bad loss, hopefully it'll get better. The season is there's 4 games in. There's the rest of the season still to go. Other people are calling for Bill's head. Other people are calling to put Zappy in. So there's lots of different sort of viewpoints from it, which are all none are right, none are wrong, that kind of thing. I was just wondering if you got a view on the sort of the tear it down, build it back up situation that I've heard on social media. I haven't. I'm not. That's not where I'm going to go. I'm asking you if you shoot.
So for me, this season is pretty much done. Now, by that I mean they ain't winning the Super Bowl. This is not a good enough roster that's performing well or got the talent to be winning a Super Bowl. Like I said, that was my expectations coming into the season. There's not a lot changed there. I don't see great promise in going out to try and necessarily win every single game from here on. Now, I'm not saying deliberately lose, but what I'm trying to clarify is, okay, for me, I've made a decision now that Mac Jones is not going to be the next Patriots quarterback lifting a Lombardi trophy. I don't know who is. What I'd like to see is, well, let's find out who it could be. So I'd rather say, you know what, Zappy, go on. You got 2 games. Go out there, play. You're playing the next 2 games.
Well, what's the point of that?
Because the worst that could happen, you lose both games, and you then know about Zappy.
But you know nothing.
That he's useless.
You already know
the benefit is you go, actually, you know what? He's not as bad as I thought. Because he's not been giving him, what was it, 2 drives at the end of a blowout game is not testing him fully. You're not fully knowing what backup quarterback you've got there. Now, admittedly, they played him last year in a game we all thought he could win against the Bears, and the Patriots were awful. It was no better when Matt came in either. He played badly then. I'm not saying that Zappi is the answer. What I'm saying is the starting quarterback you do have is not the long-term answer. So I'd be, like I said, I'd be trying other things, because what I want to know is who can we win with?
Okay. And for trying other things, we will have to next time, because we are now getting up to the butt of timing. So I've done my tight endage at the beginning, which I usually do. Are you doing
Actually,
your...
I've got whoa. Before
Okay.
you move on from tight ends, and I messaged you about this, your Binky Gesicki dropping the touchdown on the first drive there.
He was
That
pulled.
skip
He was
ball,
pulled. No, he had hands on him. That was not his fault. We had this argument. We've already had this argument. Stop airing dirty laundry now, because he was pulled, and other people on social media have put this, that he had hands on him. He would have caught that had he not had hand in. You just you just have to transition from your Ryan Izzo hate into your Mike Gesicki hate. Oh, thanks. That's really nice of you, isn't it? Oh, your hero hates player. Let me just make your Monday even better for you. Thank you so much.
I think he just hates you and he doesn't want you to win your sandwich. I think that's it. That's what it was all about. He could have caught it and he thought, no, she needs to go hungry. And so you're done with tight ends. No other comments. I thought Henry played all right, to be fair. He does seem to be the go-to guy. Okay. So did you want me to move on to my underrated player of the day?
Yeah, just move on, because now I'm really annoyed with you.
So this week it's sponsored by Specsavers for maintenance of all your rose-tinted spectacles. If you think Mac is the franchise quarterback to win us the next Super Bowl. We touched on two players. It's really between. I'm going to go with Duggar. I did think he had not a great game. I don't think there's many on the pitch. He had a good game, but he had a busy game. 15 tackles, QB hit, tackle for loss. He was involved. He was about as good a player as we had on the day, I thought, to be fair. But hang on. We need to continue our tradition that we started last week. Claire, who is your tight end of the week?
Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. Wonderful. I'd have to agree with that. I think this is probably the right moment, as we are talking tight ends, to touch on Patriots just lost Russ Francis, sadly, passed away. Very sad. Patriots legend. Hopefully he'll get honoured, I think, in the next home game at the weekend. And also in other Boston news, Tim Wakefield as well passing away. That was awful. Very tragic how quickly that news broke and deteriorated so badly. That was heartbreaking. He was one of the stars when I really got into Boston sports, got into American sports with the Red Sox. That was tragic.
I was going to say Russ Francis was the Patriots tight end from 75 to 80, 97 and 88, and he was killed in a plane crash at Lake Placid on the weekend. So as I said on social media, if anybody saw it, I wasn't a fan at the time, so I cannot obviously appreciate what he gave the Patriots at the time. What I do appreciate is the legend that he left behind, the sort of the path that he carved out for the tight ends of the future, which is obviously the position that I love, that everybody knows that I do. So it was just an appreciation for that, really. So, but obviously I know that there are a lot of fans out there, a big Russ Francis fan. So yeah, as you said, condolences to his family and to the Red Sox guy too.
So before we wrap up to the next game, let's look at the bets. Are you still confident on 11 wins?
Not confident. It's still possible. I wouldn't say I'm confident after. How can anybody be confident after
with
that?
10 games left, but
yeah, that's true. Hold on. Let's have a look at the list. Let me just count how many I think is still feasible.
So while she's doing that, I think she's already given up on the Gesicki bet that she had. And
yeah, that's unfortunate. I haven't given up. For the record, I haven't given up on Gesicki. Thank you very much. Even though we've already said that he doesn't like me, so thanks for that. Thanks for making my Monday, Chudders. If the Dallas game wasn't bad enough, that was. So yeah, appreciate that. Very kind of you. But yeah, I don't think the production is unfortunately going to be there when it comes to Gesicki. Now, if we're talking 2024, maybe, we'll never know. That's something for another show. And talking of another show, before we do go to another show, because we do need to wrap up because people are going to be really fed up by now. Anyway, yes, the next game on Sunday against the New Orleans Saints at 1 p.m. Eastern, so 6 p.m. UK time. So very good for us. The next game. Do you have any kind of predictions or anything? I don't. I forgot that bit. So do you have any kind of predictions that you'd like to throw out there for people?
They've just lost 26-9 to the Bucks. I think the Patriots will bounce back. They have to. They are going to be missing probably Judon. Well, definitely Judon. Probably Gonzalez as well. It's going to be tough. I think they will bounce back with a win. I can't go more than a field goal at the moment. I'm thinking something like 2017. I can't see them suddenly lighting up a scoreboard. Hopefully the defense will still be schemed well, play well, fight hard, better than they did at the weekend. The Saints haven't looked awesome this year. They've not played that well. There's possibly Cars even going to be banged up as well. So I think it'll be a relatively low-scoring game, but I do think the Pats can win.
And on that, we're going to finish.
Well, I was tempted to throw you out the lifeline again, bet of a non
bets. I don't want pity bets.
A non-quarterback throwing a pass. However, I might put an asterisk by that because, I mean, does Matt Jones count as a quarterback at the moment, really? And on that note, shall we end that show?
Yeah, we might not be back for episode 5. You might want to check out social media just in case. But if you aren't following on the Pats Propaganda YouTube channel, you'll miss it. So make sure you subscribe to patspropaganda.com and keep your eye out on the website as well for the works by myself and Tom Shaw Mellors. So that is it for another episode of Pat's Procrastination. As I said, keep your eye out to make sure that we do come back for the 5th episode because you never really know when it comes to that. So he was Chudders, I was Claire, Clazzy Clare. Thank you for your time and tune in next time and go Pats.
LFG.